Let's talk to Henry Smith, who's the MP for Crawley. Henry, afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
And is this a rebellion moment for you?
Well, I think the government are moving in the right direction. I voted against the second lockdown in the House of Commons several weeks ago because my big concern is that the measures to combat COVID-19 are actually causing more fatalities through other health conditions that aren't being properly treated, like cancer. I chair the all-party parliamentary group on blood cancer. That's a big concern, but also, increased significant unemployment, people's well-being being affected. This is causing other morbidities, increase in alcoholism, heart disease, sadly, in some cases, suicides as well. And when you actually look at the number of people who are actually dying, sadly, of COVID-19. We were told about a month ago that we would have 4,000 deaths a day. It's actually about 300 deaths a day. All of those are a tragedy, but there does need to be a better risk assessment of weighing up the damage that the restrictions are doing to people's other health conditions and our economy versus what COVID-19 is doing. So I'm in favour of sensible restrictions, such as distancing where possible, face masks, hygiene, unnecessary gatherings. But I do think the level of lockdown that we have seen is something that has proven not to have been necessary or necessarily effective.
Problem from the Prime Minister's perspective, he's getting probably more information in many ways than you do. BMA saying that these new tiers are full of risks, far more relaxed than before, infection rates, COVID hospitalisations, deaths remaining high. Look, 608 today, including another from Crawley.
Well, again, we were told several weeks ago it would be 4,000 people a day, and I'm not decrying loss of life in any single case, but we do need to have a risk assessment. I take a risk every time I get inside a car, every time I cross the streets, and I do worry that we have lost a level of perspective. Now, I think the government are moving in the right direction in terms of going back to a tiered system. I very much pay tribute to the government today for introducing testing for air travel. That's good for public health. That's also good for confidence in an industry that is absolutely critical for my constituency, which contains Gatwick Airport. But I do think we need to get a broader perspective, and hindsight is a wonderful thing. There will be a public inquiry on this. We will see where measures have been right and measures have been proved to be wrong. I'm not criticising anybody necessarily. These are invidious choices. We are in an unprecedentedly challenging situation. We are in an unknown. But my fear is looking at the evidence of the economic devastation that is going on, which will take a long time to recover from, let alone the public finances. And as I say, other health conditions that aren't being properly treated. My email inbox is full of people who can't get regular appointments for cancer scans and other issues. Cancer Research UK have just announced that they are having to let go, I think it's a third of their research scientists because they can't afford to keep them on. I worry that the impacts of COVID-19 will be killing people long after the virus has been defeated.
So with these regulations, would you vote against the government on them?
We don't know what the regulations are. We will know those details, we are told, on Thursday. So I with respect, I think it would be wrong of me to say whether I support them or not, because I don't quite know what they are. I do welcome the direction of travel the governments are going in terms of coming out of the second national lockdown, but we really need to see what exactly the tiers look like, what the tier that will be relevant to the Sussex area will be. So until I know that, and we're told that on Thursday, apparently, I'll reserve judgment until then.
We're hearing that it's apparently peace and goodwill for Christmas between the four nations of the UK. In the last few minutes, a deal has been done on similar restrictions for England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. Apparently, it will be up to 3 households allowed to mix between the 23rd and the 27th. You mentioned risk assessment. What's your risk assessment on that?
Well, again, I do think we do need to be looking at the broader well-being of individuals. I know people who haven't seen very close relatives now for almost a year because of the restrictions that have been in place, and that is actually a significant emotional toll. Christmas is a time when naturally people come together, perhaps family who don't see each other from one end of the year to the other do have an opportunity to do so. It is an important tradition and gathering in this country, and I think as long as we do that in a sensible way. Look, nobody wants to give their grandparents COVID-19. Nobody wants to cause illness in their families. I think we need to have a little bit more trust in people's responsibility, and I think that most people gathering will do so in a way that is to protect their families, but also there is something very important about human beings coming together, and Christmas is a very important time to do that. And I think as long as people are sensible, which I think the vast majority of people are, then there's probably more good from that than harm.
Good talking to you. Thanks for your time this afternoon. It's Henry Smith, the MP for Crawley.